we focus on helping you claim what's rightfully yours, your health and your freedom. We explore the three main areas of health: the physical realm, the biochemical realm, and the mental and emotional realm. We also explore all the areas of lifestyle we can find that will help you live more abundantly, regardless of where you're starting. And remember, in life, you'll either make excuses or create results. You choose. I'm your host, Dr. Josh Hant, and I'm glad to be with you here today. Make sure to head on down to the show notes and click on the link to join our tribe of human-powered life heroes, where we'll update you on new shows, events, product launches, and so much more. Now, it's time to enjoy the show. Hey everyone, Dr. Josh Hant here for the Human Powered Life podcast. And yes, it is the aftermath we're going to go over for the Tesla Hertz 150-mile ultramarathon. Oh, there we go. So that's what the actual bib number looked like. That was bib number 22, set up for that 150. Kind of freaky showing up and getting that bib. As many of you know, since you follow me on social media, whether it's on Instagram or TikTok at Dr. Josh Hant, this is my DNF coin I got. So if you've been following me there, or Lifestyle Locker on Facebook, you know that I did not complete the DNF, did not finish. I get a poker chip instead of a really badass belt buckle with 157.2 miles on it. Very frustrating, and I'll let you know, like many of you may have experienced this in your own lives, that you really train hard for something, whether it's a job or whether it's a fitness event, like something like I'm doing a running event, or anything in life, and you train a long time. You work really hard. You do all the things you're supposed to do, and you just don't finish. You just don't complete what you're signed up to do or set up to do. So for me personally, it became very frustrating when I get to mile 62-ish or 62.9 and had to tap out. I'm going to get into that story in a minute, but let me bring you through the whole journey so you can see how all of this unfolded. So many of you know that I started taking this product from Wizard Sciences just about a week and a half out. I've been loading it into my system, maybe about 2 weeks out. And it is a carbon 60 molecule. You're going to hear about this in another podcast episode. You've heard a little bit about the carbon 60 molecule in earlier episodes. So this is a new formula. This is something that had which was called the Olympic RX formula, as well as the cognitive formula. So I started taking two of these products to load my system up to get myself ready to perform at ultra high levels running. And so leading up to it, we head out to Long Island on Friday evening. We get to the island late, stuck in lots of traffic. For any of you that have been in a car going out to Long Island from the west, know that there is a ton of traffic. When? Always. So we get out to dinner, and I'm loving Mexican food. And my wife's like, "What do you want to eat?" And I'm like, "Mexican food, totally." So I get a burrito that's bigger than my head, and you can definitely go ahead and check out some of the social media posts. You'll see what these things look like. The burrito was amazing that I had. But nonetheless, we have this. We get back to the Airbnb. We check in, and we start to unload some of the race bins, our clothing, all the things we're going to need prepping for the race in that morning, less than 12 hours away. So as we organize everything, everything's out. The race clothing's out. We're not sure if it's going to rain or not rain. It's going to be in the upper 40s. Whatever was going on, we had to prep based on the data we had that day for weather, because that is something that you cannot really control yourself, obviously, though you have to be prepared for whatever nature will throw you during these events, whether it's temperature, whether it's precipitation, whether it's wind, whatever it may be. And we're going to be running in Pine Barren, so you can actually expect it to be cooler. There's very, very little sun if we're going to have any. And if it rains, it's going to be, the good news is it won't be muddy because it's sandy and things will get drained very, very quickly, which is always a very big win in races. Mud sucks in these types of events simply because of the slipping and falling. So nonetheless, prepped everything. Get to bed around 9:30-ish. Try to do it that way. And Meredith, my wife, she's the crew captain. She's the crew that shows up for this event. And she is a superstar. She has to do all things that I have to do, minus running. And then she has to do more. She has to know what I want to eat, know what I want to drink, know what I should be eating and drinking, and pushing me and giving me heads up and telling me to slow down or speed up. She is like the ultimate pit crew for an IndyCar race or a NASCAR race. So she needs to sleep, but she's going to be up with me at 3:35 in the morning the next day, so we can get down and get our setup organized. So get to sleep, sleeping well. 2:30 in the morning, I hear talking out our window. Essential light goes off, and the floodlight like lightens up our room. Meredith does not wake up. I wake up at 2:30. Like, what the hell? Who's up at 2:30 in the morning at our Airbnb and talking outside our window? So finally, the one of the vehicles leaves, gets quiet, fall back to sleep for another probably 30 or 40 minutes if I'm lucky, and up at 3:35. So we get breakfast. I have oatmeal. I have herbal tea. I didn't want to have caffeine right off the start in the morning at about 3:45, 4 o'clock. I want to let my body naturally wake up. I drank 1.5 liters of Element, LMNT, the sugar water, the electrolyte mix. I have chocolate, so I had that one. And yeah, I try to go to the bathroom before, try to eat number one and number two. We like to do this. I call it the pre-race poops. So we try to get all this done before, because your sympathetic and parasympathetic nervous systems are going to go through a little bit of a flip-flop. If any of you've done any kind of athletic event where your nerves get kind of wound up, that's what ultimately happens to me pre all of these events. Even since I was a competitive skier about 20, 30 years ago, I'd have some of these nervous system, holy cow, I'm going to be competing tomorrow or this morning, whatever it is. And the bathroom always calls. So I like to get that all done before, because oftentimes there's only limited places to use restrooms. There's usually a couple porta potties, and that's it. So we get to the event. It is raining. It is freaking cold. It's in the mid 40s. And, I didn't have a raincoat. Frankly, I won't run in a raincoat because I sweat too much. But I did have a Gore-Tex running jacket, which is a thin, not a shell, but it's like a soft shell, Gore-Tex soft shell, which is phenomenal. Though it was very, very chilly. So we get going, the tent set up, everything's rocking and rolling. I give Meredith a kiss, say thank you, love you, I'll see you in a few hours or less. Off to start the first loop. And you can tell that there are definitely a couple of people there that were, all-stars, running all-stars. And I knew I was not one of them. I wanted to be a competitor, maybe come in the top 10 of the 150. Did not happen. But nonetheless, we get charging, get going forward. And as we're going through it, I'm learning the course. It's a 10.544 mile loop, which we're supposed to do about 15 times, which equals that 157.2. So in the midst of the first lap, it's still dark out. We are using headlamps as we're running. We got about 45 minutes before it becomes light. And maybe I'm about 2, 3, 4 miles. And I don't really know how far I'm at this point. And I hear the woods. I hear the ground start to like rustle, leaves flying. And I literally, within 15 feet of my face, a deer twice the size of me. I don't think it had antlers on it, but I don't even really know. It happened so fast. Blows by me at full speed down like a little alleyway of down leaves and pine needles. And I froze, looked left and right like I was crossing a road. And I'm like, hey, buddy, you have any friends that are following you here? I had to look, really, because I did not want to get run over or charged or plowed over by a 200 or 300 pound animal, if that's how big they get. Nonetheless, the thing was flying. So pause, I get going, and I start chatting with the people that are in me. Since it's a single track, there's not a lot of people passing you unless you're saying, hey, I'm passing you on the left, I'm passing you on the right, and you give them that right of way. Ultimately, all of us are in this thing together as ultra runners. The people that started the earliest were the 100 milers and the 150 milers. They let us go together. And I had this little train behind me of about maybe 5 or 6 people. Kind of felt interesting, like I was pulling everybody, but also that I may have been keeping and setting a really good pace for everybody. Not going too fast, not going too slow. One thing that I'm actually very good at is almost knowing my speed as I go, almost knowing my actual pace, ballpark where it's going to be. So, and I'm very consistent. I can keep that on average for a long time, even uphill, downhill. The average ends up being pretty good. So we get going. The herd starts to thin out after we pass an aid station. Some people stop to get a little more. I just, check in, get a little bit of water, get going again. And I end up running with this guy, Will. It's a very cool dude. So Will, if you're listening, dude, thank you. I wanted to tell you it was like having some good willpower, behind me during the event. We were pacing each other since someone asked me, like, what's your goal? And I said, listen, the big, hairy, audacious goal will be 36 hours. I don't think it's physically possible for me, but that's what I'm putting out to the universe. And the next goal is 48 hours and under. And then the next goal will be just to finish the darn thing, which would be the first real goal. So we pace with each other, running, walking. We go through multiple laps, feel really, really good. And we're, going into the third lap, finishing a marathon and then up to a 50K on the third lap. Feel pretty good, but I was starting to get in that, the third to the fourth lap, I started to have the stuff that goes on in between your ears that many ultra runners get, and many people that do things for a long time, events that take a long time, get. And that's your head wanting you to quit. And I tell you what, it was strong this time. I really, really did want to quit, only 50K, and not for the reason that I felt bad, solely because I'm like, I am so freaking bored with running in loops. Hey, we're giving you a short break here where you can head down to the show notes or lifestylelocker.com and join our tribe of human-powered life heroes. You'll be the first to know about new shows, events, product launches, affiliate specials, and more. And now, back to the show. I'm so bored. That came through. It took almost a full 2.5 hours for me to break that mental, that problem, that yuck. So we're get going. I think we're on lap 4 at this point. Both myself, Will, we've tripped, not fully hit the ground yet, but we definitely tripped on some roots, maybe some loose rocks, whatever it may have been, and stumbled and caught ourselves. On that next lap, on the 5th lap, I ended up going down. It's hit something, and I'm like, you know what? I'm not just going to fight it and try to stabilize. I went down onto the soft ground. Little did I know that what might have happened at that fall may have been the cause of my problem. I still don't know. I think it's going to be impossible to figure out, but I'll give you my hypothesis when we get there. So feel good. We do another lap. As we're finishing the 6th lap, or getting to, we've been talking nonstop back and forth with many people, like best times to rest, people that have done multi-day events, people have done 3-day events, like when's the best time to rest? And one gentleman that we were running with, his name was Bob, said, rest when you're tired. Don't fight it till you're fully exhausted. Get 30, 60, 90 minutes of good rest in, but you're going to be doing this, push through the night and then even into another night. So you want to at least have some physical rest to keep pushing through. And listen, I'm not Navy SEAL. I'm not David Goggins that can stay up, or any of these SEALs that have been through Hell Week and this whole budge training that sometimes have to be up for almost 96 hours straight. That's not me, right? I'm a full-time chiropractor. I run for fun. But I listened to Bob. He said, rest when you're tired. So being that my sleep was a little crappy the night before, as we're getting ready to finish lap 6, I'm telling him, I'm like, listen, I'm going to break. I'm taking a break now. I'm tired. It's about like maybe 9 o'clock ish. Check in at it was called North Country, which is the main headquarters where all of our gear is. I said, I'm going to take a little break. I'm going to do for 30. He's like, listen, if you're still resting beyond 30, I'm just going to leave you. I said, dude, no problem. Like, we're each running our own race here. It's against ourselves. So do as you needed. So we get down. There's dogs barking. There's cowbells ringing every time someone comes through. It was very loud, and I could not seem to get comfortable and get to sleep. But I was sitting in this anti-gravity chair thinking it would be a good choice for me. And 35 minutes comes in. I'm like, screw it. I'm just going to get up. I'm going. I can't deal with not being able to sleep with all of the noise. So I get up and I take a couple steps, and it felt like someone was sticking a hot dagger into the right outside portion of my knee, which is where the lateral side, the outside is where your meniscus and something called the lateral collateral ligament, which is one of the stability ligaments on your knee is. I felt like someone was sticking a knife into there, a hot knife into there. I'm like, whoa, okay, let me just move around. Let me walk around, see what's going on. Let me see if I can feel this thing out. Maybe it's just cool and needs to warm up again. So I waited. I started texting Meredith. She'd already left. I sent her home like, listen, I'll be fine. I'll go through the whole night. I've done this before. It's not my first time. So she leaves, and I'm texting her and saying, hey, my knee feels really bad. It does not feel good at all. I don't know if I'm going to call it or not. She goes, listen, you're only 60 miles in. Rest a little more if you need to, and then just you make your own call. So I'm like, I'm going to tap another 45 minutes on the timer, sit back on the chair, see if I can do this. I'm wrapping myself up. It's about 40 degrees at night, 45 degrees at night. I have like down blanket over me, a jacket, a puffy jacket on with a hood, and I'm starting to shiver, which is never really great to do this, but I'm starting to shiver, and I'm watching the timer tick down and messaging a couple people that are friends, that are runners, that are athletes, and looking for some inspiration from outside in, which is not really the way it should happen. It should happen from the inside out. But so many people were checking in on me, and I didn't want to let anybody down. I really didn't want to let myself down and anybody else down, since, I don't want to seem like I talk a big talk and I can do a lot of things. I like to do hard things, and I like to challenge myself. I like to push myself. I like to keep my word. So stopping now would ultimately like break all of that for me. I wouldn't be keeping honest myself. I let myself and others down, and it was just starting to get very frustrating in my head. And I had this evil loop going on, and I'd already broken through that first bout of mental stoptitude. Your body wants you. My brain's like, just stop. It's again, you don't need to keep doing this. So I made it through that already, and now I'm at 60, and I don't know if I just said this, but at 15 minutes with all the noise, Will left after 15 minutes of break, not my first 35 minutes. So he left, and I'm now almost 90 minutes in. I get up again to walk around to see how I feel, loosen my shoes a little bit, get a little more comfortable, and take that step. Dagger in the knee, dagger in the knee again, dagger in the knee. I'm like, oh my God. Why now? And asking those why questions is really not a great thing, because oftentimes you'll find answers for them. And I really just had to really stop and think, and almost in tears say, I think I'm going to call it. Knowing what potentially happened when I kicked that root and actually went down, and it could have been the few other times before that I was kicking these roots and tripping, is, I believe, and if you were to picture this, look at your right foot, and if you were to twist your foot in, right, to the inside, that's called internal rotation. And when I hit that root, I internally rotated my foot really bad. And more than likely at that point, my knee went for the ride and rotated and twisted. I didn't feel it until I took a break. And my head is saying, what if I never took that break? What if I kept on going? Would I have made it? And the what ifs are really, really challenging. And I really do believe things happen for a reason in this world. And I believe now that sitting through this, even though I don't really want to, but I do believe this, that the universe knows and was giving me a cue to rest so I can start to see, feel, experience the injury that was going on before it got too bad. Because with the injury, I feel pretty good today. Today is Tuesday, and this happened on Saturday. I put 2 miles in Sunday, which was a funny shuffle of me running and hobbling. Ran 2 miles yesterday on the treadmill when I got home, slowly, and then did a little 2 miles with the dog today. So I feel a little bit better. Granted, I still have a little bit of the shuffle hobble going on, but the universe definitely was giving me a message to rest and letting things come to the surface. And this is powerful because the what if I did keep going, I might have actually caused much more damage to the knee. Where today I feel pretty good. I've done some therapeutic things, obviously. I use the tools that I have. But had I kept going, would it be a whole lot worse? Would I not be able to make it to practice on Wednesday? Would I not be able to see patients? Would I have done so much damage that I would have caused permanent damage or needed surgery again in that knee, since this was the post-surgical knee that actually got injured? So that kind of sketched me out a little bit. Granted, yes, I've pushed through. I have actually run on sprained lateral collateral ligament for 22 miles in the past. I've ran 22 miles on multiple broken toes. I didn't want to go through that again to get to the point where I was breaking down physically before maybe getting a surgery. I didn't want to do that. So stepping back and being pissed off for a few minutes and realizing, hey, take that lesson you learned from your first 100-mile attempt when you had those broken body parts, when your good friend John said, you know what, you either take the injury and do this again, or you get the disability, which may take you out forever. And that really resonated in my head. And it took me a couple of days to even put a social media post up about it, because I was so frustrated and upset that I had to stop. the DNF coin that I got, that DNF coin is going to be a good reminder to be humble. And that, you know what? There are going to be some circumstances, some things that are not going to go the way I want them to go. And what do I have to do with them? I have to smile, go, great. What's the lesson learned? How can I be better next time? So to get to my lesson learned on this one, because I think what it ultimately came down to for me is stability training. Did I have the endurance training? I believe I had enough. Did I ever run 150 miles before? No. But before I ran 100 miles, I never ran 100 before. Before I ran 50, I never ran 50 before. Before I ran a marathon, I never ran a marathon before. And get it? All those things all the way down to the first mile. So everything took a beginning. So I believe I definitely had enough training and consistency with multiple ultra marathons leading up to this one as being the pinnacle of the year for me. And the lesson that I learned, one, is it's okay to fail at something as long as you're learning from that failure. Then it becomes a learning experience, not a failure. Second, for me personally, when it comes to the actual running aspect, is that I have to make my knees bulletproof. And what I mean by that is if I'm going to keep doing, I should say when I keep doing trail ultra marathons, I will have to have very stable knees, meaning the stability muscles, tendons, ligaments all need to be bomb proof if I'm going to push hard in areas where there's a lot of instability on the ground. So I have a mat on the ground behind me. You can't really see it. Actually, that blue thing right below the shoe boxes there is an instability cushion. It's a foam balance pad. So I'm picking up a Bosu ball on Wednesday or Thursday this week, and I'm going to start charging forward with some stability training, doing some rehab, doing some strength. And I'm going to be pushing a lot of trail running and hiking this winter and a lot of treadmill speed work this winter to start to build some of that speed strength, because I want to focus on doing a couple shorter distance ultras like 50K, 50 miles. So I can actually start to hone those distances really, really well and become fast for me with those events. Fast for me doesn't mean pro athlete, but you know what? There's always a possibility, right? I won't push that away, but I want to become really good at what I do. I also am realizing that the never quit attitude that I do have when it comes to running or when it comes to my fitness in general, I really need to be better at doing this in all areas of my life, in practice, in my relationships with friends and family, and really being good to myself outside of the running game. You know, it's easy to be with myself when I'm by myself, but I really need to get rid of clutter in my life, get rid of the things that are holding me back and holding me down. I've read a couple of things, you know, that sometimes it's easier to let go of certain things and certain people and certain whatever it may be, ideas in life, than it is to hold on and hope that they're going to get better. So I don't know what those are yet, and I'm learning now as I go that that's where I'm going to focus on this upcoming year. I don't have the book with me, but I got a great book which was recommended by a patient. It's a book by Ryan Holiday. Oh God, what is it called? I think it's like the Stoic Calendar or something like that. But it's a little page a day to read on Stoicism. So definitely look up Ryan Holiday as the author. But I started going through this, and it's like it gives you lots of little ahas every single day. And it's not a long read. Listen, you got to put 5 minutes in or 3 minutes into this read every single day, and you come out the other side going, huh, okay. It gives you something to think about, something to get better at. So in closing, what's next? What do we look forward to? First, I'm looking forward to letting you have some more interviews that are coming out, which are completely awesome. One of them is a guy named Ian Mitchell, which he's the creator of Wizard Sciences, which I mentioned earlier. So you can go and definitely check out those products. I'm a big fan at this point. I'm going to be using them to hopefully help me get to that next level, help me push a little bit harder, become a little bit better as a human being, not a human doing, but a human being. And I'm gonna actually book a couple ultras for the following year once they start to show up when they're available. I'm going to be picking things that are closer to home, that are quite technical, that I can do in a day, that are not overnights. And I'm definitely going to pick one crazy one. And I'm putting this out there now for anybody that is in the South Florida area. I'm going to be looking into next year doing the Key West 100 miler. And that's running, I believe, from Key Largo or Miami or Key Largo all the way down to Key West. So I figured make that a long weekend, make it a mini vacation, hang out in Key West for a night after and have some fun. So I want to thank all of you for going with me on this journey, for being part of this. I hope you get something from this. And if you have not yet been following or interacting with me on social media, I'm at Dr. Josh Hant on Instagram, at Dr. Josh Hant on TikTok, Lifestyle Locker on Facebook, and I'm on LinkedIn, but I don't really check it that often. So if you want to connect with me, social media is a great way to do that, because I love interacting with everybody. I love sharing stuff and creating stories of my life to share with all of you, to hopefully help you become inspired to do things for yourself. But you've heard me say this before, motivation is like a shower, something you got to do every day. Inspiration is something that will drive you for a lifetime. So I hope you stay inspired. I hope you keep doing hard things. And I'm Dr. Josh Hant, and that's it for the day. So see you on the next episode. Bye-bye. Thank you for tuning into this episode of the Human Powered Life podcast. Make sure to head over to lifestylelocker.com to check out all the details on the show and to watch part 2 of this episode, which is only in video format. We also have this audio portion in video format if you want. Once again, I'm your host, Dr. Josh Hant, for the Human Powered Life podcast, and I'm looking forward to staying connected with you as a Human Powered Life hero. Remember to join the tribe, and we'll see you soon. Bye-bye.